So day to day, we're usually called, when it comes to acoustics, when something has gone wrong.
No! God, please, no! No!
It seems like 9 times out of 10, somebody's proceeded on a project, they've gone in a direction, they've done something, and some end user is not happy. Whether it's a performing arts space or music space or an industrial application, usually it's complaints that get us hired. To be honest, it's the wrong way to go about doing it. What should be happening is they should hire an acoustical consultant first before they design the project. But a lot of projects, the end users never say, oh, by the way, I'm really concerned about sound, I'm really concerned about this, I'm really concerned about that. So the architects and engineers and people that are involved in these projects don't even think about it until it's either too late or almost too late. So let's talk about one that came up very recently. We got a call about an auditorium that they were renovating acoustically.
Is that right?
And somebody kind of brought up the idea of, did they do the right things? And I was on a conference call with them and I said, so what is the reason you're doing this? Well, the room needed to be updated. I was like, what about the people who use the room? Do they like the way it sounds? In this room, I can't show pictures of it because I don't want to get into that kind of stuff. So it's a nice kind of normal auditorium. It's got absorption on the back of the room, including a cavity that lets the sound go out into an outer lobby in some cases, so you get that added resonance out there. Side walls have got some absorptive panels that are on standoffs from the wall to absorb lower frequencies than they would without it. And no one ever asked the end users, do they like the room? Well, it turns out they do. So what they're going to do, and this is a drywall room with a drywall ceiling, which means low frequencies are being absorbed through the drywall. And so you got a space that the music department of this particular school likes the space, and now they're going to change it, and nobody asked what they wanted. So the change they're making is so radical that we sent them a proposal and said, look, you really need to analyze this. And the way we do it is we do field testing. We take the existing condition, which they like, and we compare that to what the projection in a model will be of what they're doing. And I think that's a prudent way of going about things. So what we suggested to them is we do all of that. And looking at just what they've got, they're looking at treating the whole back of the room. They're going to take the perforated section that's absorbing all sorts of energy, and they're going to make that solid. Then they're going to curve it. Then they're going to cover it in ceramic tile because it's durable, and that's always a good idea. So ceramic tile up to about 12 feet off the ground. Then above 12 feet, they're putting in acoustic diffusion using a product that I'm familiar with that has a relatively non-absorptive characteristic. It's a great diffuser, but diffusers need to be down where your ears are. So if I want to diffuse sound in this room, which I'm going to as we're building this, I want diffusion over here. I want it at a height where people sit. What they're looking at doing is 12 feet of ceramic tile, and then up above putting all this diffusion in at an elevation where nobody's going to get a benefit from that really. It'll diffuse some sound that'll then bounce off the ceiling. And all of this is going to make the room far bass heavier than it is now. It's going to add strident high frequencies because believe it or not, drywall still has an absorption coefficient even up at high frequencies. So suddenly you're going to have this room that's got a twang to it and has diffusion occurring where no one sits. And then this giant curve in the back of the room is going to create a major echo back to the stage.
Hello? 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 Hello?
So I'm hoping they hire us to solve this problem before it occurs. One of our ways of dealing with this is we will send the end users a questionnaire with a whole bunch of guided questions to get a sense of what they hear. Now, it's hard when you don't get to meet with people and hear a performance and then talk about it and say, hey, what are you hearing? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then we're hopefully going to guide them to make changes that are in line with what the end user wants acoustically, the result they're looking for, as opposed to a visual that somebody thought would be cool. And we don't know, sometimes manufacturers' reps get involved in this and they go, hey, here's a cool looking product. And they make a lot of money if you buy this, and then they put it all over the room and they don't think about where it goes.
Does that make sense?
General rule of thumb, though, in auditoriums, is down low. You do usually reflective and diffusive surfaces. Where they get placed depends on more than just the room. It also gets placed based on the sound system and where speakers are bouncing off the walls, things of that nature. Typically way up high in a room, if there's anything up there, it's absorption, usually relatively thin absorption, to pick up high frequencies before they hit the ceilings and create kind of this weird after ring sheen that a lot of rooms have, that it's up at like 4 kilohertz and higher. So that's kind of a general course. But what we're hoping we'll be doing is modeling it, finding a correction before it gets built. But my advice here is, if you're going to change a room, talk to the people who use it. If they say, look, we want this room to be X, or we're happy with this room, you better be sure what you're doing doesn't change the way the room sounds. If you want to change it visually, that's great. A coat of paint can do that. But don't start putting in materials with an unknown characteristic.
Into the unknown.
By the way, this has been a Fireside Chat. Ever since I bought this monitor, I've wanted to do this. I was like, let's put something on it that's just like a fireside chat. So some of these videos that I'm going to be doing in the near future are going to be that. Ask you to subscribe if you think this was useful, and appreciate you listening.